Oh, my friends, it's happening again. We are here. It's episode 21. Can you believe this? 21 long-form content videos in a row. And I'm not stopping till we hit 365. My friend, today I am bringing to you a friend of mine, somebody I've actually been on his show, and this was a couple years ago. His name is Brad, also known as MagicBrad. He has been a magician, a self-starter, an entrepreneur since the beginning, and has been going at it like crazy. So any moment now, Brad will be joining in, and as soon as he does, we are going to start this off, and I'm excited about today's show. Here he is. Hey, look at this. We're starting to get this thing going. Brad now, and this should be a conversation about almost anything and everything. There he is, MagicBrad. Good morning, sir.
It worked.
So good to see you, man. How are you doing today?
I love how you're underground doing this thing using no platform and just taking advantage of it and making it all just work. That's pretty cool.
You know, it's lessons I've learned from you, Brad. Take what you can use and use it. You know, I've been really blessed recently in having this podcast, and the overwhelming story that I'm getting from everybody is, life sucks, and I'm going to do my best to make it better for everyone around me, because life is tough and life is not easy.
We got a common interest in the magic stuff, and I think that's where this stuff comes from, because we think differently, because we grew up, our brain developed differently. Mm-hmm. So we see these abilities where someone else thinks, oh, I got to get my own servers and put them in my closet like Hillary did, and how am I?
Yeah, your signal seems to be off a little bit, Brad. I don't know if you're on Wi-Fi or cell phone signal.
Wi-Fi. Let me see if I can.
No, that's just weird that it's maybe your cell phone signal's on as well and it's cutting back and forth. I can hear you perfectly, but your screen time seems to be just cutting. I mean, I don't care. That's fine with me, but
I just turned off the Wi-Fi, so we're going directly using Verizon. What? I got 2 bars.
Well, I don't know. I think it might have been the other way around. Might have been better. I know what, but it seems like now it's working.
Well, it takes some time to adjust. Is it good now on your end? Can you hear me? Test 1, 2. Frank Togus logged on.
Yeah. Now you're in. Now, it's weird that your cell phone signal works better than your Wi-Fi signal. I don't know.
Well, to turn off the cell phone, would it be the airport mode?
No, if you put on airport mode, then it'll just turn everything off. I would turn off your cell phone and go only to Wi-Fi is what I would do.
See, I'm not sure I know how to do that, sir.
Oh, well, if you swipe down on your phone, you should have when you swipe down once or twice, it should have your Wi-Fi and your cell phone. They're little blue buttons usually.
No, it doesn't show that. It shows the time and it shows the notifications I've been getting.
Yeah, you can swipe down again from the top.
That's what I'm doing, and nothing happens.
Well, then I don't know what kind of phone you have.
iPhone. Apple.
Oh, this is why.
Well, that is an interesting thing that happened with my events pre-Apple privacy issue stuff. I was using Facebook and Instagram, Eventbrite, and I was doing really, really good. And then all of a sudden, all that COVID thing happened and the regulations from Apple and stuff. And so it's again, I like what you're doing here. I like that everybody's got a phone in your hand. And if you don't want, we can go F Zuckerberg and jump over onto
all the other platforms.
LinkedIn or something. I use StreamYard to live stream, but I like the idea of being able to say, I don't need a platform. I just need a connection.
That's part of the process. I've been hanging out with this guy, and his name is Berglund, is his last name. He's known as the mayor of the world. He has his own YouTube channel. He has his own platform as well, like a website. So what he does is he teaches how to have your own production company and studio, how to create everything on your own and be your own platform. And I just accidentally met him while I was on a weird thing that happened to me about a month ago, which was James Heydrich popped up on my Facebook page. Now, if you don't remember James Heydrich, Heydrich was a magician from the 80s who was faking being a psychic. He got busted by James Randi it's a very famous scene. He's trying to blow the
the Kung Fu guy.
James Heydrich. And so James Heydrich's story is absolutely insane. Like, if you want to talk about conspiracy theories, MK Ultra, I mean, it's all there. It's just the most mind-boggling. And then on top of that, Frank Dukes is involved in his story. Frank Dukes was the guy they made the movie Bloodsport about, where he was having coup d'etat and death fights all over the world. And then through his Facebook page, I was introduced to a guy named Jaffe Ryder. Now, Jaffe Ryder, if for those who may not know, is a callback to Jack Kerouac. It's a Jack Kerouac character. And for those of you who don't know, my show has always been called On the Road and in the Waves. And that's a throwback to, of course, On the Road by Jack Kerouac. So it's just a weird, like all these weird coincidences. Nonetheless, Jaffe has a show called Pirate Radio, and he did this long expose on the whole entire story of James Heydrich and how he ended up becoming who he ended up becoming. And the story is mind-boggling. So I'll give you a very brief of his life, but starts off very young. His dad's a total piece of crap. Has locked him away at times inside of a barn. He's eating dog food. I mean, just a horrible childhood. From there, he gets thrown from one school to the other. 15 or 16, he runs away and he goes to live in the woods. And he stays there for a year or two and then comes back when the school could no longer accept him because he was too old to be in that school. So they kicked him out into the streets, basically. He's homeless, and he's living in L.A. on Hollywood Boulevard underneath a pair of stairs. And on the second night that he's there, he wakes up and he hears some people doing martial arts, and they're doing the hi, right? They're doing their calls. So he gets woken up to this, and he goes in, and it's the studio of the guy who teaches the FBI and the CIA martial arts. And he's like, retired, and he now has this place in Hollywood, and whatever. Who's his main student? Frank Dukes. Frank Dukes is his main student. So you're telling me that this kid who has been doing magic and has been doing psychic phenomena since he was a kid and studying martial arts, by chance and chance alone, walks into the studio where Frank Dukes works. Now, Frank Dukes at the time says that he's working with the FBI and the CIA, doing all these weird missions and all this stuff. And so James then somehow or another, because he shows how good he is at martial arts, that he then becomes best friends with them. They start going on missions together. Then James gets arrested at 17, so 15, 16, 17. He gets arrested with a group of people who beat up a gay kid. Although he didn't want to beat up the gay guy, he helped steal a television. This puts him in jail for 2 years. While he's in jail during that first year and a half, he breaks out of 3 different jails. He bends the bars at his jail cell and gets out. And each time, never trying to escape the jail, nothing more than escape the actual cell, just to prove that he can do it and scare them more and more. And also, he was doing psychic phenomena, moving objects, just weird stuff. So at one point, they take him and they take him out of the in the last place that he was at. They put him in his own top of the jail by himself with no other people there. And for 6 months, men in suits show up, teach him Spanish and covert ops. And he gets out. He does Sally Jesse Raphael. He's all over television. It's a craziest story, bro. He's then on missions with Frank Dukes in South America for the Contra missions and drug running. He then gets involved with Highway Rick Ross and cocaine, the whole crack epidemic. He also gets connected with Ken Kesey, and he starts going to the Grateful Dead and passing out fucking acid for free.
What year are you at right now in the timeline?
Oof. We're talking about now, like, well, I just jumped a lot, but when he gets out of jail for the 2 years that he's then trained or whatever, I think that's around 81, 82.
Okay, we should probably change the topic.
Yeah, it's an absolute. The story is crazy. The point I think I was bringing it up was the amazing amounts of coincidences that have happened in my life since talking about this stuff,
let's talk about that. I have a theory about coincidences, because some people say there's no such thing as a coincidence. But to me, it's a hyphenated word that means coincidence. It's two incidences happening at the same time and reconverging, which brings the deja vu thing in. That's my theory. Because we have a finite amount of molecules in the universe and an infinite amount of time, it's inevitable that someday they're going to reorganize.
Right.
That's a deja vu.
Right.
And you got to pay attention to those little coincidences, because it'll bring you back to home.
Yeah.
That's how I found my wife.
And that's
be aware of things.
Would you consider that to be maybe even a form of manifestation? Isn't that the same? We're kind of realming in the same place.
Kind of. I think everything's already manifested. It's just a matter of having the consciousness to be able to see it and be able to realize it and be in that reality.
Wow, that's a massively great like change of perception. Like, it's already there. It's just that you need to learn to accept.
Well, I went to a Deepak Chopra talk once, and it was interesting how I got there, because it was all coincidence how it happened, because I just followed my intuition, and it turned out being a book signing of him from a book that I bought that I didn't know why I bought the book, but it was called The Spontaneous Fulfillment of Desire. So fulfillment's kind of manifestation and setting your intention. So one of the things he mentioned was, in this very small, teeny little spot right here, there's all these waves that'll pick up your cell phone, your pager, police band radios, fire station radios, ambulance station radios, radio stations, TV stations, cable TV stations, all in this one little spot, all of it, all at the same time. And you move the spot, it's all there too. You move the spot, it's all still there too. So all this information that's flying through the universe is there. All you got to do is tune into it. You don't need a phone.
So then that leads me to the next question, which would be like transhumanism, for it or against it, based on what you just said.
I'm not sure. What do you mean by transhumanism? You mean the transgender thing, or?
Well, I mean, the transgender, in my opinion, right? My theory is that the reason that we have, and I just finished doing a 6-part episode with Berglund, as I was telling you, the mayor of the world. We did a 6-part episode. We're about to do the 6-part, and it's something I coined called the evolution of destruction, which it starts with McKenna's stoned ape theory, and then it moves into eugenics, which leads into transhumanism.
So what is the transhumanism? You mean?
So transhumanism is the futuristic idea of attaching the computers to us in some way, shape, or form, right? So like Elon Musk and his Neuralink. But we're talking about on an exponential level, like, right? So we're talking about Neuralink like 5, 6, 7, and as far as his iterations are concerned. Like, he's talking about Neuralink 1 being used for people who are in wheelchairs, people who have never seen, people who have no hearing.
Right.
So he's talking about changing or being able to access the neural responses that aren't there, and creating that energy so that it starts working.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So, like, because if we were able to access all of the information all at once, we'd explode. That's why we're designed as physical beings with have three-dimensional reality. It's sort of contained where we don't get all this information all at the same time, because being on the planet and being neural linked to everybody on the planet, my mind would go crazy as soon as I tapped into that, hearing everything you're saying, everything Trump's saying, everything AOC's saying, everything that my mom's saying because she's dead, everything my dad's saying because he's dead. All that information would drive me wacko. I couldn't be able to handle that as a human.
Right. So I mean, Berglund is Berglan. Berglund. Chris, thank you for watching. Chris, thank you so much for being here with us today. And so the Joshua T. Berglund, Chris, just in case you want to look up their full name, Joshua T. Berglund. But nonetheless, yes, I agree with you on these things, but then I will also do the flip side. But isn't that what you just said a second ago, that the energy is already there, the source of all information is out there, that all we have to do is quote unquote tune into it? Yeah. Couldn't we then, if we had artificial intelligence and we had these neural link connection things, couldn't we just turn that off and then only listen to the radio station that we want to listen to? Or I
guess if Elon programmed that into the system, that would be great. But if you just did a little flip switch where you flip it on and off, but it's going to have some kind of tuner in there so you can tune into what you want to listen to. Otherwise, it all hits at the same time. So the tuner is kind of like a radio station. You know, we get KQ up here. It's a good old rock and roll station. You don't get that down there. You have to tune in to a different station to hear the music and get the information out of the universe.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right, but if I had a strong enough receiver, I could receive the radio waves from where you are.
And you do have that receiver, I believe.
If we wanted to correlate that, maybe we could correlate that to somebody who meditates deeply every day and connects to some kind of spiritual energy source, call it pranic energy, call it tantra, call it whatever you want. But
or tapping into plant medicine kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Sure, of course, yeah, tapping into plant medicine and all of those ideas. I mean, you know, so my question comes back to you, Brad, again. Where do you feel the evolutionary process for humanity is? On some level, I've become a transhumanist, where I believe that no matter what we do, whether it's now or whether it's in a couple hundred years, we're going to attach technology to our bodies. We're going to become hive mind.
We're already kind of doing that. I mean, people are strapping it on, and they can be able to embed it on too. But it's something that humans can't take on all at once. Like before, back in my time, as far as media, there was the radio, the TV, magazines, and newspapers, and then the telephone came along. Now it's all over the place. You tap into the internet, and you can, wherever you got a phone to tap into the stuff, the information is everywhere. So it's overwhelming, but we're still able to handle it. You know what I mean?
So then that brings me to my ultimate thought process for humanity is that we become conscious light, where we become the ability to be creators in the moment of thought. So that's what I believe our ultimate goal is as beings, that we were created in the essence of a creator, not in the essence of a body. And so this is just my car, right? I'm not the car, I'm the driver. And the driver is not my brain, it's not my blood, there's an essence, there's a source that makes me me. So if that is the case, and I'm not this body, I'm not this representation, and I'm not these memories or even these thoughts, then then all I am is an experiential machine experiencing. That's all that I really am, right? And so from that point, what is my ultimate goal? It's to express my emotional shard of the hologram, call it, right? My own piece of soul to everyone else in the most pure form, without any misguided understanding of the energy source. And if I could do that in the best way possible, it would be for me to shut up and just send you positive, loving energy from Paul's source, right? And so wouldn't that, I'm almost done, wouldn't that in the end be me being conscious light? I'm consciously, intentionally pushing towards you my positivity and my love.
Yeah. I think
so then how do we get there from this physical place that we're in if the only way to get there is to become non-physical, and the only way that we can become non-physical is to use the transhumanistic ideology so that we become electricity, i.e. light, i.e. energy, and we become conscious energy, and then therefore I'm no longer in this space and time. Now we've hit the mark, and it starts all over again.
Well, you may have had that experience if you ever had an out-of-body experience. You know, these meat suits that we wear are, sometimes it's kind of fun to be in them. I enjoy my physical body, but then you can leave the physical body and go play in the etheric realm anytime you want. You've ever gone driving your car and you look over and somebody's looking at you? Why are they looking at you? I believe it's because these two souls wanted to come together, but then you get scared and you turn away because I don't want to be creepy. But the reality is these two souls want to come together, create a third entity, and procreate the existence of consciousness. It's not destructive, it's creative.
Right.
And things don't create fast. They destroy fast like lightning, but they don't create fast. Like a lightning bolt takes time for the energy charge to come up, then it discharges like that.
I feel that what you're describing is the after effect of creation. So like it's the entropy of, not the actual moment of. Right? So I think that and I just watched a phenomenal, again, Veritasium. Please go watch Veritasium on YouTube if you haven't seen it. He has two amazing, more than two, but as of recently, he's had two really powerful episodes. One is something that's on the MagicBrad set, and he talks about the Feigenberg constant, which is 4.699. This very beautiful number that happens repeatedly throughout the fractal of the number, which is in the MagicBrad set.
The golden mean?
Yeah, it's something like that. It's very cool. And then the other thing that he did was another one which was based on entropy and how we don't understand what entropy really is, and how it affects us, and what it is, and how what entropy really is the best way to explain it is making things messy from things that are, like, if you were to think like a wave crashing upon a sandcastle that was made, right? It's form, it's there, entropy's there to make it messy, to make it all fall apart and become a blob of nothing, and that's the idea, right? So so I feel that what you're talking about is entropy, and it's also the conscious side of us looking at that, whereas a creator, not that I am because I'm pointing at myself, but creator wouldn't have that point of view from my limited understanding of what a creator would have.
Well, the creator also creates destruction.
Well, hence entropy. Hence, that's what entropy is, right? Entropy is a form of destruction, which isn't really destruction. It's a form of manipulation of the energies.
Yeah, it's the ebb and flow of stuff that creates that spiralic stuff as the Earth is spinning through the air, or the universe. D. Hock and the chaotic principle of chaos and organization. Leaves fall off the trees, they decompose, they create fertilizer, and then helps the seeds grow and create another tree. So everything's working together, but it's still the same energy that's flowing through everything. Deep thought. This wasn't in my topic list, was it?
No, but let's do this because we haven't even done this yet. I didn't even do my intro. That's how hardcore this was, or maybe I did.
I like it raw.
I don't remember. But Brad, for those of who are watching and those who watch in the future, who are you? Where do you come from, and what do you do?
Well, I started as a little kid. I grew up in a place called Fridley, Minnesota, and where things started happening was when a guy made a quarter disappear and pulled it out of my ear when I was like 4 years old. And it got me intrigued with, wow. So I started dabbling and learning magic tricks when I was a little kid, into grade school, into high school, and I was doing some shows and things. And then in 1975, I graduated. Barely. And someone said, you should get a job. And I thought, what? Okay. So I got a job with the Anoka County Parks Department. I worked about 4 years and got laid off. And I said, where's my gold watch? I want a gold watch. And so I learned early that having a job is risky and temporary, and I opted to be a self-employed magician. And I did corporate events, which got me into producing events here in Minneapolis. And I used to produce a trade show for the event planning industry to get leads from Target, Medtronic, Cargill, 3M, General Mills, Pillsbury, all those corporations here in Minneapolis to do their holiday parties and all their fun stuff. And then jump forward, COVID came along and stopped the event industry. So I started dealing more in the digital world until we could get going again. And I did it again last March. And then I tried it again in September, and it's not the same. So I'm doing more digital marketing things now, and I'm semi-retired with some investments I've made. And my mantra now is passive, recurring, and scalable. So the things that I do, because I value my free time, it needs to be something I can do at 3 a.m. and then reap the benefits weeks later.
Right. It
needs to be recurring, just like my mortgage and my bills and my monthly cell phone bill. And it needs to be scalable because I know that the inflation is going to happen and I'm going to need to raise the bar or lower the bar, depending on your perspective. So that's where I am now. What do? I don't know. What do you want to do?
It's great. That's a great place to be. And what an amazing story of recognizing at such an early age that working for somebody else might not be the direction that you wanted to go. Like having somebody else kind of own your time is not what you wanted. And so in essence, you took a stand and said,
having a job isn't just owning your time, it's also owning your knowledge and your wisdom and your whatever you create with your head. The employer buys you at a wholesale price and resells your knowledge and wisdom and experience and labor at retail at a profit. I don't get the profit from that. I just get a paycheck that's limited in a box.
Yep. And even that, whenever you build something for that company or you make something or design a new idea, you don't get to keep it.
Well, let me tell you a quick story, because I mentioned our magic minds growing up as a kid, our brains develop differently. We kind of look at what's possible rather than, well, we can't do that, because anything is possible in the magical world. So I remember out of high school, I was doing some contract work as a draftsman. So I did do some other stuff other than just jumping right into magic. They had a printed circuit board that would go into a control data computer, and it could go in both ways. One way it worked fine. The other way it would fry the computer. So they wanted me to design a process for putting the board in correctly. And I said, why don't you just make this screw on the left a little bit longer so that it hits the runner and can't go in? This way it goes in fine. So I changed the part number from a 003 to a 004, saved them millions of dollars, and it took me 15 seconds, and I didn't get compensated for it.
Of course not. Yeah. Yeah, there's a story about something that's similar like that with one of the airline companies used to use black olives in their salads, and one guy recognized that taking out the black olives also takes out the refrigeration and also takes out the logistics of traveling from California to here to go to the. So like he did that one thing and he saved the company like $7 million, and they changed it from that to carrot shavings so that the salad had some kind of color other than green.
Right.
And that's why they were using the olives in the first place.
I love stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a similar airline story was people were complaining about their luggage taking so long to come out of the carousel. All they did was they rerouted the people so it took them longer to get from the plane to the carousel. They just made the hallway longer. Then the people didn't complain.
That's it. There you go. It's gonna take you a little bit longer to walk there, but don't worry, you're gonna get.
It was the same amount of time. It was just a different perception of the time.
Right, exactly. And then, so that then leads me to this, and I'm going back to the transhumanistic thing because we didn't really get an answer from you, or at least I don't think I did. And that would be, so what do you think is the evolutionary step for humanity?
The step?
Mm-hmm.
The step will be with,
yeah, go ahead.
we will start using this hardware. I mean, they use pacemakers and stuff to keep people alive. There will start being smaller and smaller devices to be able to communicate. They're doing that kind of stuff now to put implants in so people can see again, because it reroutes the brain. And hearing, you know, Starkey Labs in Minneapolis here, they came up with this hearing aid thing, and people are just like, I can hear now, and they're amazed by it. So there will be that, I think, a Neuralink, and there will be some kind of regulator on it. What I mean, going to conspiracy theories and stuff, I don't like the idea of someone going, let's put this program in and make this person think this way. I don't like that, so I don't think I don't want to accept the mark, if you know what I mean.
And so it's a heavy conversation we're having here, Brad, because what we're talking about is the rudimentary essence of humanity. Like, what are we? And the other thing that comes up a lot in this conversation is, are we special, or are we just a generalized mess of gook and mental processes with electricity and some chemicals that ingest and then regurgitate? And then what does that make us? Are we even at all special? And are we nothing more than an evolutionary process? And that we're just recognizing ourselves within the evolutionary process. And we're also holding on to ideals of what we believe the evolutionary process should be, i.e. saying, oh no, humans are special, we create stuff, we have imagination, we have the ability to love and care, as if animals don't have imagination, as if animals don't care. We do that too. So what makes us so different is what I'm getting at, right?
I don't think, I mean, we're all different. I mean, I'm probably different than a centipede, but still it's the essence of it is energy. And if you look at, okay, some people say this universe is like infinite. There's a lot of stuff out there that we haven't explored yet. We're just still on this little blue marble thing. So there's a lot of information out there, a lot of energy out there. And all we can comprehend is this kind of three-dimensional thing. Like if I say, okay, we're going to come up with a new idea, you have to go back into your memory and say, okay, this new idea is going to be a horse with 5 legs. Okay, that's new, I guess, but you had to go back to your memory of legs to be able to implement that. What if you put a horse with a MagicBrad on it? I don't know what a MagicBrad is. So we have to figure that out now to put it on the horse. That might be a different language from some other being that might not even be physical. You know, some people talk about aliens. Maybe aliens are here and they're not physical.
Right.
They're just little orbs of mood changing. That's why you see people ripping off shit in Target and beating the shit out of people because they feel like it.
The aliens came in on them. That's a very Dianetics kind of approach there.
What kind of approach?
Dianetics. L. Ron Hubbard saying that we have these theta zones or whatever they're called in our body, and we must get them out of us because it's the leftover remains of these aliens. It's a whole thing, but yeah. So
I understand. I've been around that realm of people.
Yeah, for sure. Same. You know, I wanted to study the crazy for sure. I'm all about it. And for anybody who gets upset, I think that all religions and all ideas in general are just craziness. I think it's a form of entropy through consciousness.
Well, to me, it's a way for someone to grasp onto something they can comprehend.
Right. So again, like I said, it's conscious entropy. So if we're going to be, I go with the idea that the creator is the ultimate conscious source, right? And when consciousness creates that art piece is the entropy happening, right? And so I just add this this colored water to this droplet, and it just turns into this amazing, beautiful stream of color and movement, and it just happens, right? So I think that that's what we're doing right now is literally the entropy of consciousness of creator. By having these types of conversations, by having just a normal life, by going out and just hitting nails and building roofs. It doesn't matter what you do You are, in essence, the entropy of consciousness. In essence, whatever it is that we do, right? So again, what it is that I believe that we are attempting to do is to reverse that and become the creators ourselves. And there's this idea within science that says that any thought that you have becomes its own universe, its own thing, right? And that literally those things are real. Like, so for instance, and I use this as an analogy, but Harry Potter and the world that J.K. Rowling made is an actual world. Like, there's actual place there that you can actually go and visit. Like, and when I say that, people are like, wait, what do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, dude, like anything that you've read, anything that you've created in your mind as something that you believe, your imaginary friend, your imaginary world, your anything that it's real.
Right. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It's like, I have a challenge sometimes talking with atheists that say God does not exist. And I wonder, how can you talk about the very topic? How could God not exist if we don't have that's the topic. So God has to exist. Now we have to figure out in what form, what is this thing we call God? You call it maybe the creator or whatever. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We just need to agree on, how does it exist? Is it a guy in a beard and a throne, or I don't know.
Yeah, and I think
cosmic soup.
I think that's why I have attached myself as much as I have to Judaism and to Buddhism, because both of those religions are so very, very close, first of all. And second of all,
my Church of Bradism.
Yeah, I'm totally in. Come on. But what I'm getting at is that they're both religions, if you will, or thought process. I don't even think they're really religions. They're more ideas, ways of thinking that are based in energy. It's based in the energy that you keep, the energy that you give and receive through words, through actions, through all of it, right? And so I think that that's really our attempt to, again, try and understand the thing that we're inside of so that we can reverse engineer to become creators ourselves. And I ask you, do you feel that that's what we are meant to be? Or are we that already, and we haven't come into the understanding of it, as you were saying earlier, that all the energy's there, all the things are already there. It's just a matter of you tuning into that radio station and going.
Some people will say that, like, if you say that you're a god, then you're blasphemous. But if you believe in the Bible, I think somewhere in there it said that Jesus said, you too will do greater miracles than I. I think that's